Okay, on the road with Griff Martin, and I'm over here in Apopka, Florida, which isn't too far from my house. So this is an on the road with Griff Martin, but I got lucky because I'm still in Florida and I'm only a couple hours away from my house. And I'm out here at Bobby Sanders' house. Now, Bobby Sanders is going to play at the Rockin' for a Reason in Jacksonville on the 29th, and I wanted to come out here because he's an interesting guy and he's got a lot of cool stories. And this is his house right here, and he invited me over, and we got a special guest in there that we're going to get to see that everybody knows. So let's go in here. Bobby Sanders is in here, and he's got kind of like a memorabilia room in here, and this is his Chevy truck. Pretty cool Chevy truck, and he also has an SS Camaro over there. It's pretty nice. Yeah, let's go in this memorabilia room and let's go say hi to Bobby Sanders. And there's another character in here that we want to say hi to, so let's go in here. All right, here we have Bobby Sanders right there.
Hello.
How you doing, Bobby?
All right, Griff. How are you, brother?
And we all know this guy right here. This is Gene Odom. Gene, we appreciate you coming. This just wouldn't be the same without Gene Odom here, you know. And Gene just lives a couple hours. Gene and I both had to drive a couple hours, which isn't too bad. Gene's used to going to Jacksonville, which is 3 hours, so this is a short little trip for him. But so this is your memorabilia room here, huh, Bobby?
Yes, sir. I can show you some stuff real quick.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
I'll show you right up here. When I was in the Army, there was a guy in my platoon at Fort Benning. This is in 1972, and about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, he would come in crowing like a rooster, and he'd drink Red Rooster 21 kicking chicken. So I come home with all my best friends, and they got the biggest kick out of that, and I brought home some of that wine, and we acted like he did. And this is all my Lynyrd Skynyrd wall here. That poster right there, Ronnie VanZant gave me that poster and signed it to Lockhart, Florida, and signed his name under it.
Which is kind of, I'm gonna have to get over there to get a little.
The ink is just about dried out.
Yeah, you can't really see it from here, but it's there.
And that was my ticket to Lakeland in 19.
I was there when Ronnie signed it, so I can.
Yeah, and we got proof of it because right there is the picture of Bobby and Ronnie signing it.
And there's Gene's briefcase and wristwatch. When he saw this picture, first thing he said, "That's the last time I seen my wristwatch in my briefcase," and that was way back when we got this picture.
So that poster,
I didn't know it for 17 years. That the photographer for Lynyrd Skynyrd had the picture, and 17 years later we got to see it. This right here is my live album. It was the very first live album. It come from WRJ. My friend Bill McGathy, he was like a guru of rock and roll. And when Lynyrd Skynyrd album came out, I had rode a motorcycle backwards and passed him, and he played Lynyrd Skynyrd the next day for me at 12 o'clock on WRJ. Then he called me up, and that's how I met Ronnie VanZant, and Ronnie signed my album there too. My album and that.
So that all happened the same day when this?
Absolutely.
So
all three of them is the same day, and this is 2 days later. We were front and center at Lynyrd Skynyrd. Look at this picture over here with a rebel flag. You see Ronnie right there? He said rebel flag. You can't have a flagpole in the Lakeland Civic Center. Mike Carter, a boy we growed up with from Lockhart, had a crutch. He had broke his leg, and we put that rebel flag on the crutch right in front of Ronnie. That's us holding it right there. We were front and center.
Wow, that's cool. And now, Gene, now you say you're 99.9% pretty sure that that's the last Ronnie VanZant signature that there ever was, isn't that right?
Quite possibly, yeah. And this picture where he shows you this rebel flag right here, Bobby had that rebel flag up, and the guy behind him was pulling the flag down because it was blocking his view. And Ronnie knew it was a fight fixing start. And Ronnie VanZant pointed at me and went, "It's fixing to be some shit right here." You know, so I think I might have came down and came around, but I later found out that was Bobby Sanders that was holding the flag up, and he was blocking the people behind him's view, and that other guy was pulling this flag down.
So, Bobby, do you remember, did you meet Gene whenever Ronnie signed that? Do you remember Gene?
I met him briefly, but
Yeah.
I met him. I went to Ronnie VanZant's mother and father's house, and was there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was like in a fairy tale. It was the fog was out, and when I got up there to the house, they were expecting me, and his dad says, "Come in the house, young man." And I went in there, and Ronnie's mother and him were sitting on the screened-in porch, and they had a big stockade fence around their property. And it's unbelievable. His dad was a truck driver, and he explained all the story to me that he drove a truck all them boys' life, and he would park the truck there, and they would haul fruit to Miami, and back then the refrigerators didn't work good, so he would sing to Ronnie, Johnny, and Donnie, and Johnny and Donnie were sleeping in the back of the cab, and Ronnie was sitting right next to him, and they were coming home on a Saturday morning. I remember this story, if he told it to me yesterday. And he would sing to stay awake. Merle Haggard, Hank Williams was their favorite. We listened to country music, and he told me something funny that he said, Ronnie looked him in the eye and says, "Daddy, I'm going to sing like you, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be a singer." And he said Ronnie was real young, and he said, "Okay, son." So they got home, and they got up Saturday morning in Jacksonville, Florida, and went to a store where you cash in stuff. What do you call them? The stores where
Pawn shop?
Pawn shop.
Right.
Went to a pawn shop and bought him a PA system. It had 2 speakers and a microphone.
I'll be damned.
That's when Lacey did, and I just thought that was a special story, and they took me all through the house and showed me they had a cutout of the United States that Lynyrd Skynyrd had made for them, Ronnie, Gary, and Alan, made for Lacey, and it said, "To Lacey, thanks for," they traveled all them states in that United States, and they had a semi that Lacey hauled them in, and they had a refrigerator, and their sleeping part was up by the refrigerator, and their equipment was in the back, and Lacey was their driver and drove them all around the United States.
So how old do you think Ronnie was about that time?
Well, I think they started doing that about 1970, wasn't it, Gene? And I would say when they started really traveling, because a lot of people in Florida.
Yeah, because Lacey got injured, didn't he?
He got injured in 1965. Around 69, Larry Johnson was still with him then. 60, gosh, I would say anywhere from 66, 67, 68.
But he could still drive even though he was injured. He just couldn't work on his truck anymore, right?
Yeah. He didn't truck drive anymore. He would drive. He would drive him sometimes to gigs. I'd drive him periodically myself, you know. And Lacey would drive him a lot of times. Lynyrd VanZant was the best driver on the planet. The most polite driver. Did everything by the book. And he would drive everywhere. He would drive. You didn't have to fill in. I'll drive something now. Lynyrd VanZant when he drove. You know,
yeah, back then you could drive 14 hours. They didn't have a log book. Yeah.
Most of the time they drove themselves, but Lacey drove them sometimes.
So what else you got here, Bob?
Ken, I'd love to show you this was our favorite band when, you know the story, they were Lynyrd Skynyrd's best friends. Right here was the Outlaws, and when they come out, they were the smash of the smash. So you couldn't be no better.
Did they all sign it?
They all signed it on the back.
Cool.
All of them signed it, and all the originals signed. Monty Yoho, David Dix, but on the other side was, and this right here is my Danny Joe Brown picture. Gene Odom and Danny were really good friends, and Danny Joe Brown would come to town, and he knew me, and he loved my Camaro. And one night at Titusville, I did a burnout. He got off stage at halftime, and we go out back, and Jessica, we're out there. He said, "Crank it up." He got in it, and I backed up and I did a big old burnout. He got out with his white shoes, went back on stage and sang, and we were front and center. Danny Joe Brown was one of my favorite singers of all time. This was the first album ever. Lynyrd Skynyrd album was the first one ever. This one was the first one ever because my best friend Joe Faulkner, we were in the Army, we heard the debut on WRJ. We went to the music store at the Altamont Mall and they opened up the thing. They'd never heard of Molly Hatchet. Danny Joe Brown signed it to Lockhart, Florida, Redneck Power. They did an article on him in Freebird magazine. He was a cover story. The whole magazine was about Danny Joe Brown. Right here, Gene Odom invited me to go to Danny Joe Brown's funeral down in South Florida, and it was the only family was there, and Danny Joe Brown was a 100% true Christian at the end of his life. In the testimony you heard, that it was just heart, you know. And before he died, we did a fundraiser for him. He'd been in a coma for 2 months. Nobody had made no contact with Danny Joe Brown, and some of his band players come to Ronnie VanZant, and we had a benefit right here for Danny Joe Brown. But let me tell you the hoot of it all. Look down there, get that at the. I want to show you this, Ed.
Who signed this right here, Bobby?
Riff West was in the band.
Okay.
He played bass. All that's my Hank Williams stuff. I played with all the original Drifting Cowboy that was left at Montgomery 5 years in a row. My family went with me. That was the church that Hank growed up in and sang at. These are out of my CDs, but them 3 pictures over there from Lum York, who I got to tell y'all about Lum York. He's in the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. He was Hank Williams' bass player. He was Lefty Frizzell's bass player. He toured with the Everly Brothers, and he was a card. He was from Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was born in Alabama and got married to a Louisiana girl. And when he was about 20-something, after Hank Williams, and then they moved with his wife, is born and raised in Baton Rouge. But I want to tell you about Lum. Lum got me on them shows. He loved me, and I loved him. I got him with Hank Williams Jr. That's Lum York right there. Let me tell you, look at this original Drifting Cowboy band. Look at Lum York right there with Hank Williams. That Slim Thomas. Well, I played at the Louisiana, got to go to the Louisiana Hayride. And
You lived under by your tire.
I'm a member of the Hank Williams Museum, chartered, but this is just my cabin. This is my stereo system. I just proud that's my box that Robert and Liz made me, and that's my honky tonk sign. And I have an air conditioned campfire.
Yeah. Now, how was it? Go ahead and tell the story about how you and Gene met.
That's okay.
Bobby?
Huh?
Tell a story about how you and Gene met.
Well, when I went to Ronnie VanZant's mother and father's house that morning, and I was there probably an hour and a half, in actuality, at their house. We sat on the front porch a long time, and he told me all the history and really nice stories, and we left there, and this boy that I was with, his mother was the mayor of Orange Park, and he goes, man, I know one of the Lynyrd Skynyrd guys, and he said, we'll go by and see if he's home. So we go to Gene's house, and I had my guitar, and I played him. My friend Dennis Robbins had a song called The Chapel of the Friendly Bells, and the song touched Gene, and Gene says, you know, that's the prettiest song. I said, my friend wrote it and stuff, and after that with Gene, it was so many great things came in my life. What you got, Gene? Catfish?
Get that guitar and play the song.
Oh, okay.
I gave him.
Oh yeah, I want to tell him. I want to tell.
Yeah, he
I want to tell you. This is all goes in with my story of when I met Gene Odom, and Gene instantly was we were like family. And Gene had the prettiest girl from Jacksonville, Florida. She loved Gene Odom. And her name was Jane, and she was a nurse and lived in this beautiful mansion and loved Gene. And I played the first Ronnie VanZant memorial concert. I got to sing 3 songs. It was a festival they had, and it was just a very, very great time. And that night, that afternoon, Charlie Daniels played and Lynyrd Skynyrd played. And that was the show, was them guys, you know.
So you opened up for Charlie Daniels?
I got to sing 3 songs on the stage.
Wow.
In the PA. And, you know, it was a big honor. And then I got invited to go to Freebird, the movie, and it was the most wonderfulest thing. My friend Dennis Robbins, when Teresa found out that I knew Dennis Robbins, Dennis said, "Tell Teresa hello." And she said, "Dennis Robbins," she said, they were family with Steve Gaines. They all played together. Dennis was in the Rockets. So she said, "You think you could get Dennis on the show?" And I said, "Well, we'll find out." So we called Dennis, and Dennis says, "Well, yeah." He says, "You know," he said, I'd be proud to come down there." Well, he came down there and he played Steve Gaines' black Les Paul guitar. We had a party up in our room, and Dennis at that point was on top of the country charts. He's one of the most successful singer-songwriters ever, but he wrote Two of a Kind, Working on a Full House, and The Church on the Cumberland Road, Do You Love Me, Just Say Yes, and albums that was Grammy worthy, all of his albums, you know. Anyway, this time we got to do the Freebird, the movie, but with Gene Odom, when I played at the Ronnie VanZant Memorial Concert, Lacey was with us, and all the families was there, and we had a room there, right there at the Naval Air Station, and we stayed at Jane's with Gene and Jane. And when I got ready to go, she went to the closet and got it out, and she told me, she said, "This was my husband," and they were married like 25 years.
So we're talking about this guitar right here.
This guitar was his when he was young.
So this was Gene's girlfriend's.
Let me tell you about Jane.
Okay.
Let me tell you about Jane.
Let me tell you about Jane.
Hold on.
Gene, wait a minute, Gene wasn't the only person she loved. You know what I mean?
No,
So that's what it was.
So that's why she ain't around.
Exactly. Gene Odom was smarter than she was.
I sang at her daddy's funeral. Her daddy was over to A&P grocery store in Jacksonville, and she knew, she went to the prom with Gary Rossington when she was young. She knew Ronnie's sister, Joanne, and anyway, when I got ready to go, she said, "Bobby," she said, he would, because her husband loved country music, "Bobby, I want you to have this guitar to play for life." And she said, "My husband would love for you to play it, because that's what he wanted to do, was play Hank Williams," and I've played it ever since, and I love it, and I attribute it all to Gene Odom, that's been such a great friend of my friends and my family, and to include me on these shows. I ain't worthy. I heard them boys play Coming Home. I was going to play that on the show.
You talking about Brandon Miller and Zach?
And Zach, and I heard them play that, and I was just, that was perfect. Y'all do it so much better than me. I couldn't do it in D. I did it in C. That is so high.
Yeah.
Been so long since I've been gone, another day. And he sang it on the key that Ronnie did. Now I gave you an A+, by the way. And I can't wait to hear you at this show.
Right. Now, what kind of, that's a Gibson, what model is it?
1959 Gibson. And it's
Did you wear the front of that out, or was it already worn out? 'Cause
Yeah,
you've been doing it. I know Bobby
I've played
Sanders
it for
does some
years.
playing now.
Bobby's done that. Bobby played the hell
No,
out of
it
that.
had been played. The guy had it since he was young, but yes. Oh, and listen now. Listen to this. So the Nightcrawlers, they're from Florida, right? In 1965, they have the #1 hit, "Little Black Egg." When I met Ronnie VanZant, the question I asked him, "Did you know the Little Black Egg?" And he said, "Man, that was my favorite song."
Oh yeah.
And so they did a movie about the Nightcrawlers. They were all so successful. It's the greatest. There's a movie about it called Crack and Egg. They all came out here. They came in here, and I got his card right there. He was the singer was the top judge of Volusia County. He sentenced Eileen Worth to death. But they all signed my guitar. The Nightcrawlers signed it back then, and I think about most of them have passed away now. You know, you know.
Well, play, church. Play. Listen to this.
Let's see. Well, I've been getting some new songs, and they're new for me. But I want to do this one for you, Gene. I ain't showed you this one yet. Back when life was fun, I recall the words my papa said to be a man, you gotta try and understand. There's some things that you must know. If you want to go far, gotta set a goal. Just hang on. Just hang on. If you do this, my son, you're gonna make it someday. Just hang on, son. Just hang on. It wasn't long when I left Daddy's home, all alone with no place to be. With a great surprise, he looked me straight in the eyes and said, "So start, and you will see. If you want to go far, set a goal. Just hang on, son. It's the only way. Just reach for the sky."
Awesome, awesome. That's just a sample of some Bobby Sanders, because he's going to be at the Rockin' for a Reason on the 29th, and you got like a bunch of songs. I know, I've heard them.
I'm honored to get to do that and be with our friends, and it's an honor to get to know some of Ronnie VanZant's best friends that they growed up with. And I want to tell you this song, this couple. I played Jane's daddy's funeral, and I played Jane's daddy's funeral, and I played Carl
And Lynyrd Skynyrd's.
And Lynyrd Skynyrd. I played Lynyrd Skynyrd's funeral. I did.
Yeah.
But these people that these characters, I don't want it to ever get away from history. But I played this boy's wedding at Rayford, and And the father was raised with Ronnie VanZant and Gene Odom. And he was a little bit older than them, and he run the Florida Power, the nuclear plant in Jacksonville. The coolest guy was a professional bass, you know. And so Gene told him about me. He said, man, get him to play, you know. And he goes, well, man, he'll be perfect for it. We want country music. And they had all these pretty young people there. This is a long time ago. And so we get there, and the son's name was Scott. What was his dad's name? Tommy
Vickery.
Huh? Tommy Vickery. What a legend. And Tommy Vickery was just the countryest guy, and he told me the story. He said they come off the road, said they were in Idaho, and Ronnie called him up and said, man, I'm coming home. Said, I've been touring, and he says, you know, I want to go fishing. And he says, well, I'll tell you what. He says, you get ready. And so they got home late that night, and they left early that morning, and they went to Orange Park. And this is the best story you ever heard. They caught fish.
Orange Lake.
Orange Lake. Orange Lake. Thank you. Orange Lake. And now listen to this badass story. This is way back in 1972, 73, only when Lynyrd Skynyrd, nobody ever heard of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Sweet Home Alabama, bam, hit. And so they fished this morning, and which is way down by Ocala somewhere, Gainesville somewhere, and they stop at at a bar, restaurant, and all these kids are in there.
McDonald's.
Huh?
McDonald's.
Well, no, they was in a place with a jukebox, and it was they ate, and somebody put in Sweet Home Alabama on the jukebox. Now listen to this. This man told me this man was just the countryest guy and didn't have any, and he said Sweet Home Alabama came on, and the people in there were singing it, and not one person knew who Ronnie VanZant was. You know, it was Lynyrd Skynyrd. His name was Ronnie VanZant.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't. Nobody knew who Ronnie VanZant was.
He was sitting there, right?
Huh?
He was sitting there.
Him and Tom were sitting there eating
Wow.
their lunch after fishing before they came home, and I just love that story. Don't
Oh
you?
yeah.
Nobody knew who Lynyrd Skynyrd was.
Yeah, that's happened quite a bit, hadn't it, Gene? People say, "Where's Lynyrd at?"
Where's Lynyrd? I want to meet Lynyrd.
Well, I think everybody pretty much knows the story now, so it's pretty clear. But you got another one you gonna play,
Well, I'm
Bob?
learning another one. I've only got about 2 or 3 verses on it, but I'll play a little bit of it. But this was back in my Lynyrd Skynyrd days as a... Willie Jones was a man I met when I lived in Baltimore. I was a guard and he was doing time. In the 3 long years he stayed there, I got to know him well. Willie Jones, he was a friend of mine. He used to say, buddy, you know where I'm going when they let me out of here. Alabama could be heaven, the Lord was there. And he talked about the Southland and the Alabama nights. Willie Jones was a friend of mine. As far as I got.
Well, that's pretty.
I had a little bit further
Pretty
than
good.
that, but I just started that yesterday. And I don't read no words when I play on, so I memorize them. I don't even think I memorized that first one that I sing today just right, but I'll have them I got 3 more weeks to get ready for this show, and I've got a lot of, I'm gonna play country music. That's what Ronnie VanZant and all these boys, a lot of them's coming up. Gene's friends that knew all of them growed up with them, they're coming, and Susie Skinner is planning on coming, and maybe her mama, who coached Lynyrd Skynyrd and Gene Odom, buddy, they was a team now. They traveled and did stuff together, and we loved Lynyrd. Lynyrd lived out here for about a year in the motorhome with Rosemary. They just traveled, you know. When they sold their house, they had a place on the
So you were good friends with Lynyrd.
through Gene.
Through Gene,
Gene
yeah.
and Lynyrd was real close. Yeah, you better believe it.
Gene's got a great story about how both Lynyrd Skynyrds tried to kill him. Lynyrd Skynyrd, the band,
Yeah. Oh yeah, he got
and then
Alzheimer's.
Lynyrd
He couldn't
Skynyrd,
sleep.
the
He
man.
couldn't sleep driving. Oh yeah, right. Both of them tried to
Give
kill
us a
him.
short version of that, Gene.
Well, you know, the airplane crash.
Right. That's the first thing that tried to kill him.
Yeah, the band tried to kill me. They didn't do it. And Lynyrd was umpiring girls' fast-pitch softball. So he called me one day. He said, "Hey man," he said, "I'm coming to pick you up. I want you to come watch this girl. She can underhand that ball over 75 miles an hour." I went, "Wow." He said, and he was umpiring. So we were going out there. He had a little Mazda RX-7. So right there, Seaboard and 103rd. We were going to turn left. We were going to the ball field. And there was a school bus on the other side going to make a left turn. And we were making a left turn. So Lynyrd pulled out and let the school bus make the turn. And a lady ran the red light and broadsided us right in the back of it, on my side, at the back wheel. Spun the car around, you know. And I felt my neck snap. I knew my neck was broke. Lynyrd started raising hell about the woman raising, you know, maybe ready to fight. You know what I mean? So
You'd already broke your neck once.
2 times.
That's both Lynyrd Skynyrd.
I took my phone, I called 911. There's been an accident here at Seaboard and 103rd, and I think my neck's broke. So rescue's on the way. So Lynyrd went away, and that police officer that was in the line of traffic on the other side, he saw the accident, and he came over, and he was speaking with a woman, and Lynyrd was raising hell with her. He got Lynyrd away from her. And so he came over and asked me something about where did I live, whatever, you know, and I said, I gave him my driver's license, whatever, and he left. So he got through his investigation. I'm waiting on rescue to come. And so Lynyrd comes over. He said, "Man, I gotta get to the ball field." I said, "Take me back to my car. I gotta go to the hospital."
He don't even think your neck's
No,
broken.
he don't. And the police officer left. So I went to the emergency room, and they said, "Sure enough, your neck's broke." And so I told Lynyrd, I said, they operated on it that night. They operated on it. And I told Lynyrd, I said, "I told him my neck broke." He said, "Well, you know," and so I went to right there at Cedar Hills, the substation. I went in there, a big old black sergeant, raising all kind of hell about it. I want to know who that police officer was that, I didn't get rescue units. I went to the rescue fire place first, and they just pulled them on the computer. I said, "Here's your phone call. Here's where you ordered the emergency 911. You ordered the rescue, and we sent it. We sent the rescue, and that police officer canceled it."
Oh,
I
damn.
want to know how he did it. He said, "Well," I said, "Get his ass here." And he said, "I can't bring him here." I said, "Get him. I want to know why my neck's broke, and he canceled my damn rescue." So he said, "It's a training. We'll have to, a training error. We'll have to train." I left there before I got put in jail. And so Michael Bashford, that grew up with me and Bob Burns, attorney, he said, "I'll sue the hell out of him." I said, "Gene Odom, you know, I'm broke. I should have sued the hell out of this county, the police department. I got rich. I let it slide, but I hit my neck healed up."
So you were walking around with a broke neck, and
Yeah.
and the
Lynyrd
ambulance never came, and Lynyrd didn't even know it.
No, Lynyrd didn't know I called, you know. He said, "I got to go to work," you know. He had to go to work, and I said, "I got to go to the emergency room," you know. And so Lynyrd Skynyrd and Lynyrd Skynyrd tried to kill me, and both of them didn't succeed. I'm still kicking, like Bobby Sanders up there, kicking chicken. I'm still kicking.
Yeah. Well, Bobby, I know that you got plenty of songs. What kind of music you gonna be playing? It's gonna be, is you gonna have some Lynyrd Skynyrd songs, and then
A few.
yeah, and then you got some other, probably some
Some
stuff,
old rock and roll songs.
right?
I'm proud to be part of it, and I appreciate both of y'all including me on this.
Yeah, Bobby came, the way I met Bobby was Gene said whenever I threw that Polk Theater bash over there, and Gene said, "Man, you got to get Bobby Sanders over here to play." And I said, "Well, who's that?" And he said, "Well, man, that guy's one of the best flat top guitar players around." And he got up there, and we showed the Craig Reed reels of Craig Reed's home movies, and Bobby was up there playing, and you might be able to see that on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube somewhere, so if anybody wants to go searching for Polk,
Just like you seen today,
Return
I
of the
make-
Survivors. Yeah.
I make mistakes learning them, and the longer you sing a song, the better you can do them. But I usually put them on, I go to stairwells and put them on time I learn them, but I just love learning songs and getting to share, you know.
Is this gonna be on the podcast?
Yeah. Yeah, so, you got something else, Gene? You want?
Just one. I know all you folks on this camera thing can't make that fundraiser for the survivors. And number one, I'm not a survivor of that. I mean, I don't consider myself a survivor. I consider myself a victim of a tragedy that I should have prevented. So Gene Odom ain't gonna make a dime off of this fundraiser for the survivors. This is to show some respect and to show decency and respect to those survivors that's never been paid to them. You know, and a couple of them didn't even work for Lynyrd Skynyrd. Mark Howard, Paul Welch, I think they worked for Clear Light, Showco.
Right.
But they were on the plane and they were part of the Lynyrd Skynyrd entourage, and so I'm just going. This fundraiser is going to show some respect. If you can't make it, order a ticket and make it a donation to the survivors. If you can't come, I'm sure that it'll be filmed somehow,
Right.
and you'll be able to see it. But I appreciate all y'all's support. Thanks.
Yeah, and there's actually like a company that's handling all the ticket sales and things like that. Gene didn't want any part of that because he didn't feel like dealing with that. And
I've always said that Gene Odom and Craig Reed ought to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame right with them.
yeah, you know, they were part of that group.
I'm in
You
the
know.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let me get up. I'm in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with my buddy Ronnie VanZant.
Yeah.
Right.
That picture is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
right.
right above that hat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this hat is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And this picture is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame right above that hat. So Gene Odom is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I've
Can't sing a lick, but I'm up there with my fishing buddy.
yeah, there's Gene right there. See?
It's in archives now.
Yeah.
They,
Is it?
yeah, they put everything, they only put the signature of Ronnie VanZant and Hank Williams Sr. It's in a little gold thing. Look how many people they got.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Well, then anybody, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ain't about music, it's about them making money.
Dennis
Yeah.
gave me them.
The Chipmunks.
Went to see
are in-
Artemis
Oh,
Fowl.
those drumsticks?
Yeah.
Are those
Uh-huh.
are Artemis
Oh, look at
drumsticks?
read the headlines of the Orlando Sentinel and look at the check that Lacey was gonna ration off Ronnie's truck, which I'm glad he didn't get to, so Johnny got to get it.
Oh, wow.
But,
Lacey
yeah.
VanZant check
And-
right
and
there.
Lacey sent me that check back, and I thought, man, isn't that funny for $5? A check for $5, and I put it in my Orlando Sentinel when the plane crashed.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, there's Gene's book, the blue book.
How long have you had that?
Oh, I treasure this stuff. I keep it in a sealed case.
Those are kind of hard to get, aren't they, Gene?
Those are impossible to get.
I've got one at home.
That might be the only one of its kind right there.
Judy gave me that. That was at the Ronnie VanZant. So
The
Yeah.
movie premiere thing.
was it? Yeah, might have been.
Yeah.
Was that at the Freebird the movie? Might have been. Isn't that nice? And let me tell y'all something. I was there when Charlie Daniels came to Jacksonville, and you should see him. He knew Gene. He knew Gene with Ronnie, and both times I've been with Gene, Charlie Daniels every time. It makes it a point when him and Gene sees each other, and it happened at the Freebird at the movie thing too, which I thought is just so freaking awesome. I don't know what this is. Ain't no telling.
It's how
It's
that.
been put up. It's been put up. So I save all my stuff. Oh, this is one of my really good friends that was as talented as anybody you've ever met. And always will be, but he don't care about the music business. But that's Dennis Robbins, and I got to do some of them dates with the band, and That was a highlight of my life. It was awesome. Let's see here.
That's one of the original ones, yep.
Oh yeah, that's that one of yours,
These
Dean?
are all through the years. Oh yeah. Look,
Yeah. Yep.
look, Ronnie's daddy, Lacey VanZant.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who signed that one there?
Ronnie VanZant's got it on the front. Let's see. I don't even know what.
That was his autograph. He didn't sign that, of course. That was his
There's
autograph.
Lacey's.
Oh, I see.
There's Lacey's envelope.
What year was that check, Bobby?
Look at here. This is Rolling Stone magazine.
1995.
That's when the Ronnie VanZant Memorial Concert was. And let me show y'all something. This, it wasn't a rebel flag. It wasn't the rebel flag. It was this flag. And there was a fight over this flag. You were right about everything except it was this flag. We made this, and when Ronnie came up, we were front and center, and we held this flag up. Hold that side, Gene.
That was in
Upside
Lakeland?
down, brother.
That was in Lakeland?
Yeah.
Because I was there, and
Okay.
I remember
Okay.
something about that.
This was the one you was holding up the people pulling
Yeah.
down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at here.
I knew it was the flag.
Look at here. Yeah. It was this one. Look at here. Hold that side out. Lockhart loves Lynyrd Skynyrd. That was
Okay.
front. When he came out, we had that thing wide open, and I think there was a fight over that, maybe so.
Yeah, it was.
But the rebel flag, there wasn't no fight over.
Okay, I had the wrong flag.
What were they fighting over? They couldn't see?
Yeah.
Oh, do you think? We're front and center with a freaking.
Right in front of the stage holding that up.
Hey,
Yeah.
you want to see a pretty shirt? Look at here. I met the real Lynyrd Skynyrd.
There you go.
And we knowed him.
That's cool, isn't
We
it?
loved him, yeah.
But the real Lynyrd Skynyrd, yeah.
So, and here's Freebird to the movie. Boy, that was oh my God. My friend Dennis Robbins got it, and Gary Rossington made him turn Dennis down because Dennis was blowing him off the stage. Wasn't that a shame? Remember that?
So that's the
They played
brochure?
Statesboro Blues with all the band. They had Dennis front, the greatest guitar player, and
Gary didn't like
Gary didn't want
nobody-
no part of that.
That's right. Gary didn't want nobody showing him up.
Here, look at here. Here's Calendar magazine from Orlando. Lynyrd Skynyrd when it all happened. Yep, I saved all that stuff. I got it out to share with y'all. I got it in Tupperware, a big old thing, and it's sealed. And,
That's cool, man.
uh-huh. Look at that.
That's a good shot.
Look at here. Look at here. Billy Hill, ready to roll. I was the president of the fan club. That's Dennis Robbins. I showed you. That was the name of the band, Billy Hill. They had got a hole in my pocket.
So how did Lynyrd come about coming out here with an RV staying at your place?
Yeah, they stayed out here for I guess 10 or 11 months, and they just traveled. That's all they did was travel and have fun. Yeah. That's when they sold their house. They had a place on the St. Johns River, you know.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this edition up of the On the Road with Griff Martin, and we appreciate Bobby Sanders and Gene come out here today and showing us all this stuff and those two songs that you played for us, and we'll listen to the end of it on the 29th.
I killed it. I killed it. Don't pay no attention to them songs.
Oh, they were good. They were
Thank
good.
you.
So hey, thanks a lot, and
Thank you.
and so we'll see you guys next time.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep toking until then. Yeah, the Road Stony Show.